Welcome to my first installment of my Tarot Unicorn series. So, may I present to you the Eisenhut Tarot. So this is an obscure little thing which I came across quite accidentally. So this is an accidental unicorn, really. So I belong to a couple of trading forums, platforms, and somebody listed a bunch of decks. Included in his listing is this particular one that I spotted. So I was immediately attracted to it. I researched the images and I came across one particular image which really truly drew me in, and I'll show you later. So I messaged the gentleman and I said, I can offer you this, this, and the other, and apparently someone else is interested. And so they're offering other things, and so, he asked if I can up the ante, and so I long story short, I offered him my firstborn, and he came back saying, well, the other person's offering their firstborn as well, and long story short again, he said that his wife decided that they should keep it for the moment. And he did ask, after this sort of race, to trade or to swap with this particular deck. He asked, is there something about this deck that I am missing? Is there something about this deck that I don't know anything about? And I said, not really, not that I know of. This is the first time ever I've seen the deck. It's on his list page, on his photo, advertising a bunch of decks to swap with, to trade with. And so that's the Fool here, and this is the Magician. And so the race was becoming quite heated to swap for this deck, and I was getting really stressed, and it took all the fun out of it. And literally I ran out of firstborn, so I couldn't offer him anything anymore. And I could, but it was beginning to feel a little bit one-sided. If I was beginning to feel like it wasn't an equal swap, given that no one's heard of this deck, and also I think the retail value was about €20. So the artist is French, I believe, and her name is Eisenhut is her last name. So this is the Popess. From what I can see of her Instagram, she's a graphic designer, and this is her only tarot deck. This is the Empress. And so I started searching, and like a lot of my tarot unicorns, I found them through the help of others, which I am always going to be forever grateful for. This particular one here I ended up finding in Italy, and it was through the help of another collector who I believe is more of a collector than myself, but she's also a bit of a trader, so, and I'm not at all a trader like she is. This is the Emperor. Look at that. I think what really drew me in was the, I want to say Christian symbology, but I'm probably these days have to qualify as this old Christian. I'm not going to say Catholic because it's not exclusively Catholic, but this old Christian, because modern Christianity feels really different to me, and so this kind of like the chalice and that sort of thing. See here again, and this is really what drew me in. This is what really made me want this deck, is this old Christian, old European Christian imageries here. The host that sacrificed the Pope, which is, I am sure I'm missing a lot of significance here. I need to research a bit more of this. Maybe there's some astrological significance. It feels very magical to me. It feels very Neoplatonic, very Renaissance, old Christian mixed with Greek, Roman, various other tradition here. That's how it feels like to me. I could be wrong. So this is love And there is this story about a pelican with the bleeding chest feeding 3 baby pelicans, and I came across that iconography when I was researching the Montaigne Tarot. Actually, it was in the book that Christina Dorsini wrote about that symbology, about that iconography. And somewhere else, I think, I read that, in fact, it is a misinterpretation of what people observe in pelicans when they feed their children through regurgitated food matter in their beak. It looks as if, from afar, it looks as if the children are feeding of blood originating from the mother's chest, while in reality it is inside her beak. And so they're eating from inside her beak, but it looks like they're eating off her bleeding chest. And so that becomes a symbol. Like here, this is not a pelican. This looks like I have no idea. I'm not very good with my fauna and flora, but love depicted as this sacrificing yourself, bleeding, so that others can feed off your blood, of the source of your life. You are sacrificing a part, if not all, of the source of your life force, so that others can have theirs. So that is the essence of love, and I really, really like that. I really, really like that. Now let's have a look at whether we've missed anything here. I am feeling like there's a lot more for me to go deeper into in terms of the visual language here. And one of you mentioned so I'm not quite sure what animal that is. Mentioned the symbol of semiotics of tarot, and I really like that. Semiotic is a fascinating area of inquiry. In a different life, in a different place, I would probably have specialized in semiotics, but it's not an area of study that is easily available to me, given where I am. And in the various places that I've been, it just wasn't readily accessible for one reason or another. So this is the Chariot. So there is obviously astrological, again, I'm not, you can tell me, is that Mercury? I don't know. No idea. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stars. Moon and sun, 7 stars. It's just, I love the visual language here. It just, something about it just absolutely drew me in. This one is Justice. There's molars, 5 molars. Any of you from the continental tradition of tarot, please feel free to comment down below. For some reason, I'm thinking this is very European, very Neoplatonic, very Christian, esoterist, mystic, Gnostic, magic type of, that's the feeling that I get. So that's 8 is Justice here, 2 swords with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 molars, or 3 molars and 2 something else. It feels like I'm missing a lot here. The image is so simple. These cardboards are basically cardboards. Literally, these cards are cardboards and nothing else. It's not even bleach, it's raw cardboard. And it's so simple, and yet it feels deep. It feels like I'm missing up on a lot. And yet it looks so familiar. Something about it feels very, very familiar to me. It makes me feel quite at home. So this is the Hermit bleeding into the cup there, and I would love to know, well, the fox. Why the fox? The fox is a very, not the strongest animal in the kingdom, but they made up for it through being cunning, I suppose. That's all I know about the fox. They have to be smart. They have to be subtle. They have to be diplomatic. This is the Wheel of Fortune. So you have the skeleton there, and the hair there. Life and death. Life and death. And I really like that she took it to a larger, a more macro level of the Wheel of Fortune. It's not just the fortune, the ups and downs of fortune while we're still alive, but it's the ups and downs of cycle of life. So I like that she took it into a more macro level. This is strength, la force. I think that's the wolf, I'm not sure. Maybe that's the wolf in the moon card from the Rider-Waite-Smith. I don't know, but it certainly remind me of that. It looks like he or she's eating the sun, and the sun, or it is bleeding, or the wolf is bleeding. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stars here. Looks like the ray of the sun or the ray of something, with 5 distinct symbols for the rays there, or for sparkles, star, sunrise, moon, I'm not sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 astrological symbols that maybe some of you can let me know what those are. There's no handbook, so I do have to research this myself. The hanged one, Lapendu, is the rooster hanging by one of its legs. There's Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, a crown etched on a crown, on crowns, 2 crowns. A rooster is a creature of the morning, aren't they? They signify the beginning of a day, don't they? Do they crow when the sun sets as well? I can't remember. I think they crow when the sun rises. That I remember. I remember growing up with roosters crowing when the day breaks. And so, to me, it's like beginning suspended, restart, rebirth suspended, new chapter, new leaf suspended, in waiting, between Alpha and Omega, suspended between beginning and end. Oh, that's very good. That's very good. You are suspended between the start and the end. You are suspended between the beginning and the end. A new start is suspended. There is a new beginning, but you're waiting. And then there's a cycle here of what I can only think of, the cycle of the moon, of time. I love it. And this is death. Extradition, no title, no name, just the number 13. And so instead of the children feeding, I mean, if you don't see this, you would have thought that they are suckling at the teats of their mother, but because of that, it looks like she passed, but she left new seeds, new beginnings there. 2, 1 became 2. The cycle of life continues. Her ended, but she's passed the baton over to 2 others. So there's such as endings and beginnings, death and resurrection. This is the image here, the image of the pelican bleeding for 3 of her babies. So from what I read, it was a misinterpretation of the children eating of a regurgitated food substance from inside her beak, and become this powerful image of a pelican's children eating off a pelican wounding its own chest so that it bleeds, so that it can feed the kids. So there's a chalice imageries again here of the blood from the hand. It's looking at the shape of the droplets there feeding into the cup here, and the blood leaking from this hand feeding into the cup there. And the cycle of love, of nurturing, of sacrifice, of mutual sacrifice and mutual giving of life. The complete opposite of a vicious cycle. This is the complete opposite of that. And it's interesting that this is taken as temperance. instead of love, which this iconography usually symbolizes, I think. If you look at the Mantegna Tarot, I think this is associated with love as one of the three theological virtue. So that's love there. So there's the same principle, but instead of the pelican, which is very much of an old Christian imagery, it's this one here of two birds. Ladybird? Okay, a ladybird's up to something. So this was the image that really, and I just knew this, I have to find a deck. I have to find this deck. And shortly after that, and it felt like it was meant to be, because shortly after that I was contacted by a collector friend of mine, and she said, "Are you still looking for that? You know, I've located someone in Italy." And I thought, thank God, thank you. It's a deck that has such a profound impact on me so very quickly, just upon sort of glancing over some of the images, but I was stopped in my track when I saw this, and I thought, I must have this in my collection. This is the Devil. Such an interesting, you see the arrows here, and it's crying, and the mouth is bound. It's been shut up, and it's probably the saddest image of the devil. And I have a very specific idea of the devil, which I will share with you in a video that I wanted to make last year, but just didn't have the chance. It was a take of the devil from a French magician. I'll do that video, but for me, the devil is our free will. It's our nature. It's our primal nature. It's our human nature combined with free will. That when you let loose can create beautiful, passionate, amazing things, but also has a darker side when it goes unchecked. So this is interesting with the crying and the bounding of the mouth, and yet there's all this light around it, and the arrow pointing that way. I'm not quite sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing, positive or negative, productive or not, nurturing or not to the central figure here, but certainly what I'm getting is that when it looks like it's sad and gagged is when it shines the best, perhaps. You know, I don't know. That's a lot there. There's a lot there. This one is La Maison de the Tower. Wow. It just feels really magical, don't you think? With a lot of symbols drawn extremely simply, and yet there's so much to dig there. You can argue that if you don't want to think too much about it, if you don't want to research it too much, if you don't want to be too cerebral about it, you can argue this is very evocative as well if you want to read this intuitively. A horse is one of the strongest animals out there, and it's being attacked. It's not a very pleasant image, is it? But I wonder what that signifies. And are these blood or sweat? We don't know. There's no color. Yeah, I have to sit with that. This is Le Toile Star. 5-star, and the big one here, and that's a carp, I think. I'm not sure. Again, flora, fauna, not my strong point. La Lune, the moon. A snake is cut into pieces. Moon cycle. And there's a lot of these droplets here, which could be tears or blood. I suppose if it's blood, it's colored in. Let's see. Yeah, so the bloods will be colored in, and so these are tears or sweat or rain. Represent water in the element. And again, there's that symbol. I know that. Is it Mars? Nah. Female? Virgo? Venus? And that elemental symbol there. Water. Is it water or earth? Water, I think. And so there's water there. 1, 2, 3, 4 parts. Yeah. Yes, I have not gone through this deck. I wanted to go through this deck with you. So I received this last year and I have kept it unopened until now. So some of the images I've seen online, and this is the sun. Strong. Judgment, a sacrificial lamb. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 eyes there. And again, that's not blood. You see there's water there. So water of life instead of blood. I mean, I'm assuming that because, as I said, blood in this deck is colored in like so. And so that's the water, the giver of life. And there's 7 eyes looking at this. Or death, so that you could be resurrected. I see judgment as resurrection, so reconciliation. This feels more like atonement. This feels more like instead of resurrection or awakening, this feels more, well, awakening you can see there, but this one felt like atonement. Reconciliation through sacrifice. There's a name for it, there's a term for it, which I can't quite, which escaped me at the moment. Okay, the world is just the last one, and it's a bit difficult to, okay, there it is. Is that a salamander? I don't know what this is. Sorry guys, flora, fauna, again, I'm a city girl, so I live in concrete jungle most of my life. Eating its own tail is like completion, beginning and end, alpha and omega, and all the constellations around. Yeah, that's it. That's the Eisenhut Tarot. Oh no, she's not French, I beg your pardon. Is she? For some reason I thought she's French. I saw her Instagram and it's all in French, I think, but her name, Sophia M.A. Eisenhut, that's her name. So this is in German, AVerse publishing, and as you can see here, it's not 20 euro, my bad. I think I saw some online shop selling them for 20 euros, but this was retail 13 euro. So that's about 15, it's under 20 US dollars, but yeah, so there's the carton. Any of you know how to speak German or read German, let us know. Natural animal, I picked that up. Yeah, that's about all. Alchemy. Is that Christian iconography and animal symbolism? Marseille Tarot, the big, large, major arcana of the Marseille Tarot. That's the base. You can really feel it, can't you? That's where the continental feel, I think, where I said it feels continental. So because it's based on the Marseille Tarot, I just felt an instant connection. And so I'm not quite sure if the man who originally had this listed to trade is watching this, but when he asked me, is there something about this deck that I don't know anything about that I'm missing? Because why is suddenly such demand for it, for his copy, with people competing, upping up their bid with what we could trade this with? And in the end, I gave up, and he sort of said that, you know, his wife think that they need to keep it for the moment, and so I'm very glad that he's keeping it, and I'm very glad that I'm finally getting this, because nobody know anything about it, and I'm so glad for the lady in Italy who decided to sell her copy here for a bit more than the retail, but I was quite happy to pay it because it's still within a reasonable cost of a lot of indie decks these days. So that's the Eisenhut Tarot, one of my unicorns that will probably, I suspect this will survive the purge for a few more years to come. So thanks for watching. I'll talk to you later. Bye.